So, we've got a bunch of Montreal Canadiens stuff to dive into today. It's just going to be more of an encapsulating video because there isn't one particular topic that I think is big enough to get its very own isolated video game commentary. So, we're going to be going through the variety of hockey Habs news from this morning and putting it all together into one video. Starting out with some of the extra moves that Montreal had made earlier in today's transactions. Take a look at this. The Montreal Canadiens have sent Owen Beck down to the AHL. And according to Martin St. Louis, he doesn't anticipate any other player to be called up from Laval ahead of Thursday's game against Detroit. The Habs will go with what they have. So, with this in mind, it seems like, with Owen Beck down, if he plays today for the Laval Rocket, it will be yet another contest that he is suiting up in over the past few days. It's good to give him some development time, but of course, in the NHL, it's not like Beck was really given much. Him getting less than 7 or 8 minutes of time on ice per game certainly isn't a way to develop a player, so setting him down, having this as the only move that's going to be made today, according to Martin St. Louis, seems like a pretty reasonable thing to do. We also had ourselves some word from St. Louis as to what the plan is tomorrow, or not even from St. Louis, this is from the Canadiens' Twitter account themselves. Samuel Montembeault will face the Red Wings tomorrow on Thursday, so it seems like with Montembeault getting yesterday's game against Tampa and tomorrow's game against Detroit, they're really going to start stringing together some more streaks here, and it's not necessarily going to be a rotation, Montembeault, Dobesh. Maybe they'll just reserve Dobesh for the back-to-backs, or they'll give him some of the extra games against weaker teams, because to be fair, I mean, they have been giving Dobesh some really tough competition, and he's been really good so far. He hasn't lost a single game at the NHL level just yet. So Montembeault, he's getting Detroit. The Red Wings have been struggling a lot as of late, so this certainly is not the same team that had all that hype starting out with Todd McLellan. They've taken a few hiccups in the road here and there. So maybe giving Montembeault the game against Detroit is a good decision. It's like, okay, we really want to double down on us being able to win in this game. We also had ourselves some extra notes on practice. Take a look at this. You had Josh Anderson, Yoel Armia, Cayden Goulet, Patrick Laine, and David Savard not participating in today's practice due to it being a therapy day. And on all days, too. On Bell Let's Talk Day, I know a lot of people are particularly against Bell Let's Talk Day, not because the idea of Bell Let's Talk Day is a bad idea, it's just because Bell Media as a company isn't really a company that promotes proper mental health within its employees and the way that it runs, even though they like to do the Bell Let's Talk Day to raise awareness, which I guess is a good thing by proxy, but still, Bell is one of the shadier companies out there if you wanted to go by the tea leaves. But anyways, this is a good sign as well. We like to see the Montreal Canadiens putting emphasis on their own mental development, not just their physical on-ice capabilities. But shifting gears to some other ideas here, let's go out there and talk about the Montreal Canadiens players and guys that have been very, very good this season. In particular, I wanted to focus on a post made by Filmsy Ad 1015 on the Habs sub. It's been a career season for Cole Caufield so far. Linked is a screenshot of Rono from Andy and Rono, who went out there and posted Cole Caufield is playing at elite level in offense this season. That is awesome for Montreal. The graphic shows that Caufield is a top 4 percentile player in the NHL when it comes to his offense. He is in the top percentile of all players in terms of finishing and in points. Every other category, impact, passing, penalties drawn, he is also one of the top players. In defense, unfortunately, Caufield is only in the bottom 16%, so he's not necessarily doing all too hot defensively, but then again, I mean, you're not really employing Cole Caufield because you want him to be Yuri Lettinen or whatever. You want him to be that goal scorer, you want him to be that top point producer, and at 44 points, he is doing just that. He is on pace for 42 goals on the season and 77 points, which would be a pretty good stepping stone for him in his career, considering the goal-scoring development he has gone through in the NHL as of late. Caufield is playing the best hockey he has ever played. And the best part is he isn't even the top guy on the team in points. That honor belongs to Nick Suzuki. Now, when it comes to some of the top guys in the Canadiens lineup in points, Juraj Slafkovsky is right up there. He is 4th overall with 26 points in 44 games played. I wanted to go over another update in regards to one of his good friends in the NHL, who happens to be playing for the New Jersey Devils, and who also happens to be in a pretty precarious spot. Because we had ourselves another article published on HabsFanatics.com by Elisa Diem talking about an interesting trade option involving Juraj Slafkovsky's best friend. Take a look at this. It's a post made on Simon Nemec, and a quote from him from that same interview we had read earlier in this week. I can't remember any number 2 draft pick that went to the farm for a 3rd year. It's still too early to request a trade, though. If this situation continues, it'll have to be addressed, Nemec said about his situation with New Jersey. Now, I want to just do a little bit of a retrospective analysis and think about 2nd overall picks and whether or not they did go through this same development path last year. Okay, 2nd overall was Artyom Levshunov. Okay, he doesn't count. He's in the NCAA. He's still recovering. The year before that, you had Bedard and Leo Carlsson, who is in the NHL right now. In 2022, the Juraj Slafkovsky year, of course, you had Simon Nemec. In 2021, the Owen Power year, Matty Beniers in the NHL. 2020, Quinton Byfield's in the NHL. 2019, Kaapo Kakko made the NHL right away. 2018, Andrei Svechnikov made the NHL right away. 2017, Nolan Patrick. Yeah, that's not fair because he did make the NHL right away. He just got his career derailed by injuries. 2016, Patrick Laine, yeah, he's in the NHL. 2015, Eichel made the NHL right away. 2014, Reinhart made the NHL right away, I'm pretty sure. If not, maybe it took another year to develop in the WHL. 2013, you had... who was after Nathan MacKinnon in the 2013 draft? I'm not really too sure. Was it Barkov or Huberdeau? No, I think it was Barkov. Yeah, Barkov. Then 2012, it was Yakupov, 2nd overall. Yeah, that's where I start to get a little bit fuzzy. So, he's right. None of these guys took extra time to stick around in their development programs for 3 years after their draft-eligible years. So for Simon Nemec, with him acknowledging that his path is a little bit different, it does get the question started as to whether or not Simon Nemec could get traded. In fact, this same article on HabsFanatics.com uses another Roto tweet that says this. According to Marco D'Amico, Tom Fitzgerald confirms his desire to begin contract talks with Jonathan Kovacevic, citing the club's desire to play a more gritty style. Yeah, it makes sense as Kovacevic has been great with New Jersey. However, this is not good news for Simon Nemec. And with this in mind, it looks like we will be seeing some sort of a transaction, a contract extension with Kovacevic, and you gotta go out there and wonder, what does this mean for Simon Nemec? Is he going to get traded soon if the Devils decide to commit some extra time and resources and assets to Jonathan Kovacevic, who in his own right has been pretty good with the New Jersey Devils so far this year? I really do wonder whether or not this opens the door for another Montreal Canadiens opportunity, whether or not Kent Hughes can dive in there and say, hey, this guy's a top prospect, he's a right-handed defenseman, he's in a valuable position, and he could be on the market if the Devils decide that his role is just not all too necessary for this team. If the player himself decides that he wants out sometime soon, then you may have no choice but to trade this guy away. So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the idea of a Simon Nemec trade, and do you think it's a lot more likely now that we are seeing this situation unfold where the Devils are going to re-sign Kovacevic all of a sudden? Nemec has already expressed his disappointment with the situation, and if it continues, it could result in a trade. So I want you to let me know in the comments whether or not you think that is the most appropriate way to go here. Also, what are your thoughts on the other notes we had talked about? Owen Beck getting sent down, Montembeault getting the start, some of the Canadiens guys taking the day off for a therapy day, also Cole Caufield's career season. Lots to talk about for the Montreal Canadiens before tomorrow's game against Detroit. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.